press record. Can I ask everybody just to switch to mute yourselves so that I don't get any feedback? And again, Bet, if you go to the bottom of your screen, it should pop up with a little microphone that says mute and one that says stop video.
I don't have any of that stuff.
All right, that's okay. I've got a mute button for you. So let me try and see if that works. Do you want to try speak now? That's perfect. I can't hear you. But I muted you myself. Just let me know if you want to speak by like waving at me. All right. Okay, so everybody. So welcome to our very first meetup, online meetup. Just emailed her. Okay, okay. Hopefully she comes soon. All right. So tonight is really just an opportunity for us to get to know each other a bit better. And I'd like to start off with just sharing each of our intentions, our dreams, our desires about what we would like to experience on our upcoming trip. So we'll start off with that and we'll go around with everybody. So if you can just think about that for a moment, because we'd love you to share that with us. And then I'm going to go through a couple of key aspects of things that we need to talk about regarding the trip. So if we can start with Bet, if you would like to start and just share with us what you're hoping to experience, and just share any intentions, desires, passions, or anything else around the trip.
Okay. Well, the main thing is I would like to hear what the elephants have to say, especially the elephants, but all the animals that we come in contact with. And I'm just fascinated by their emotional, sentient communication.
Okay.
And I want to experience that. And of course, I want to see the babies because you go, oh, you can't not love them.
Yeah.
So that's the main thing. But I also want to experience Kenya and Africa in the larger picture, the art, the people, the textiles, the music, the natural world that they have and so forth. Meet the kids, meet the carers, everything. Anyway, I can't wait to do it. It's going to be so great.
That's wonderful. And yes, it will be. I'm sure there are going to be many experiences that are going to be life-changing from the inside out, if you like.
I think so. Kate has changed. Kate, just being with Kate has changed some things for me. So I know it's going to be super great.
Yes, she is somebody super special.
Yes.
And we're very lucky to have her for as long as we've got her for, but also to help, facilitate and help us to, really connect at that much deeper level, because it does give you a different way of experiencing this kind of adventure, which is what makes it so unique.
Right. And I'm interested to see Babar, see how he's doing.
Babar?
No, I'm being facetious, but Babar was my favorite book when I was a kid.
Oh. Well, you'll have, there are some interesting books, and actually I'm going to recommend one to read. I know there are quite a few out there that are worthwhile reading, especially around the elephants. So I think that would be good fun to do before you guys come out.
I'm reading Elephant in My Kitchen right now.
Oh, yes.
That Lawrence Anthony's widow wrote after he died.
Yeah.
It's fun.
That's great. All right. Yeah. Well, thank you, Bet. Kathy, I will unmute you. Unmute and unmute. Unmute. No, you unmute yourself. I can't unmute you for some reason.
There.
There you go.
All right. Well, as you may or may not know, I went last year. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay.
Where's your amazing microphone?
Well, it's in the back room. I forgot about that.
That's very useful, that.
If I talk loudly? Sorry about that.
It's good.
Anyway, I went last year and I just felt like I needed to go back again and continue on what happened with last year's trip.
Yeah.
It is absolutely phenomenal. And my major love is photographing these beautiful animals and just being able to go back and look at the pictures and relive the trip over and over again. Yeah. I tend to remember where I took a lot of photos that I take in general. And so I'm really able to just relive the entire trip. And I love it. Mm-hmm. And I'm really not good at it, but I would love to learn more from Kate.
Yes, you are
how to communicate with the animals.
Yeah, you're brilliant at it. Practice it.
Well, that's what people say, that I do it, but I don't know. I don't feel that I do it, so maybe I can be convinced that I can do it. So I'm a slow learner.
I'm going to let Kate deal with that when we get to what Kate's going to say. But yeah, the first thing is you just got to believe it.
I know.
And that more than anything, Kathy, it starts with your own self-belief and getting out of your own way.
Getting out of my mind, exactly. But I just love it. I love every single second of the trip, and I know I will again this year.
No, that's fantastic. I'm so thrilled to have you. And of course, you are our official photographer for the trip. So that is just super awesome for us. So we don't all have to worry about taking amazing photographs, even though we've got 2 of you that are keen photographers on this trip. So we are super doubly lucky this time round, which is fantastic.
Oh, it'll be so
And we're thrilled to have you back. You make us laugh all the time, Kathy.
Thank you. Well, we'll have a great time.
Oh, yeah.
And Joni.
Oh, yes. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm going over there looking for a rich man.
Good luck.
He's got to like animals.
We ain't going to find that in the bush, I'm afraid.
I'll drag him out of the bush if he's in there, boy. Let me see.
Okay. Joni is 80 years old, by the way.
Amazing.
I'm not that old. Yes, I am. Well, I'm going to be like everybody else. I'm going to love to take pictures. And I'll take pictures of an ant crossing the ground, just any old thing. I'm interested in anything that y'all have to show me.
Fantastic. You're going to be super busy with the clicking, but hopefully you're going to be able to put your camera down and just, be with yourself and try to connect in other ways, because it helps us to learn connection in different ways, and puts you in the present moment, because what happens is you can be so excited, which is always the main thing. You get so excited, especially when you see an animal you've never seen before, and then it kind of stilling your energy and bringing your energy down, and then being in the right heart space, that you have an opportunity to really connect with them, because when that connection happens, it's beautiful.
Right now you're only seeing one half of me. Where do you meet the other half?
Oh dear. Okay, what's the other half?
I'm not telling you. That's what you're going to be surprised.
It's going to be so much fun. I can't wait.
She told me I was crazy. You got to believe her.
I 100%. But you would be. Anybody's crazy to come on a trip like this anyway. You've all got to be a little bit off, the narrow pathway that most people are on. We're like outside the lines. Let's put it that way.
We're gonna have fun.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Wonderful.
have fun.
Okay, great. All right, lovely Kate. You need to unmute yourself.
Yep, here I am. Hi, gals. Oh gosh, I am just so excited to be going back. Like Kathy said, it was just such a magical trip and so much fun, and we laughed at so many things, and then we wondered at so much, and just being in the presence, being in the animal's natural environment for me was magical. You know, it's their land, and humans are, you know, yes, humans inhabit the land with them, but that's not how most of it is in North America, right? They are stuck in small areas that we assign to them. Yeah. And there it's the other way around. And I loved that. So this year, I am really excited because, as Tamar said, when we first meet an animal for the first time, whether it's an impala or a lion, there's tremendous excitement and a desire to get a picture. And so what my role is going to be is when we do that, I'm going to hold space, but then I'm going to ask everybody to put the camera down. And we're going to go into a real heart space and breath space and connect. And Kathy, this is also to help you realize how you are already connecting and give you more confidence. And Bet, you know, we've talked about it before. You know quite a bit about that yourself. And of course, Tamar does. So we're going to really cultivate our abilities to connect in a way that, you know, most of us don't get to do on a regular basis. That's a really important part of that trip, is that we're going to do that. And I believe that is also going to be transformational, because it will affect all of our ways. It'll just get us into the habit of knowing how to drop down and connect, which will help us in everything, right? It'll help us in our relationship with people, help us when things, you know, are in bad traffic. I mean, there's so many good parts of it, but most important on the trip is to show what happens when we do that, how the animals respond differently. That's what I'm really excited to explore with you guys and experience. So that is that's what I'm really focusing on. And now that Ronnie will be joining us again as our driver.
One of them,
right. We'll have a new driver too. But Ronnie gets a sense of who we are, that we're different from a lot of the other tourists that he brings through. They just want to go from great shot to great shot to great shot, and they don't really connect. They just want to, you know, bag the pictures, and they're not doing it from a heart space. And he gets that that's different with us, that we're very different. We don't want to go see somebody killing somebody. You know, that's not like top of our list at all. We had to get on his case last year because we had this amazing experience with this giraffe that was crossing the river. Actually, he got stuck on the bank and couldn't get up and had to go into the river. And we were all concerned about crocodiles. And Ronnie was like, oh yeah, maybe a crocodile will come. And we're like, no. We want him to get safely to his other side, you know, how he wants to get there. It was fascinating because there were hippos involved, and a mama hippo challenged him because she had a teeny little baby. Kathy got pictures. Because we were like, what? Why is that hippo so concerned with him? And that was why. So we had this, you know, we really trained Ronnie that no, we're here for something much more heart-centered. Yeah. So he'll be great. He'll be wonderful this year. So that's it. That's enough for me.
Wonderful. And just to reiterate on that point, the more that we can change the energy with ourselves and bringing our, you know, our centers to our heart space, the more it actually attracts the animals out. So there's a huge benefit, not just to ourselves, but also for allowing and sharing that with the animals in the space that we're going to be in. And so the more that we are like that, the more likely we're going to have those interactions and experiences that actually very few people get to have. Because think about it, energetically, if we put our energy out there, as most people do when they get really excited, and, you know, the sheets and the cameras are going and all the rest, that's a lot of noise and energy that filters out, and the animals can feel it straight away. And so the lions who tend to hide may not want to come out when there's all that noise going on. Where it's different with us, and they feel it, is where that energy is pulled in and it's more centered and it's more heart-based, and that just attracts people, or attracts the animals to come out and say hello.
Or to just stay.
Gives us great opportunities to take amazing photographs. So Kathy and Pat, I know you guys understand this, is that essence of patience. and really understanding and connecting with what it is that you're photographing. And that's, a real skill set, and actually will hugely benefit you when it comes to that connection and that communication. That's why, Kathy, you are naturally like that. You just need to know that for yourself. Because you've got a lot of patience when it comes to stuff like that. Whereas most people, still up in their head and still, excited, and they can't get out of that energy. So thank you, Kate, and we are thrilled to have you an extra 2 days this time. So that's going to be a lot of fun. All right. Pat, if you'd like to go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay. Well, I've been an elephant person for 100 years. Not that old. And so that was what intrigued me about the trip, was the connection with the elephant.
Right.
The more that I have read about what Sheldrick does,
I'm
very, very interested in the humans who care for them.
Yeah.
Who they are and how they make that connection with their orphans. So a lot of my photography is, I'm a people photographer. I'm not a wildlife photographer. Although I do intend to get some very good shots of the elephants and the whatever, but I think my brain is going to be going towards the people.
Right.
And connection.
Okay.
Connect the same way when we go to the Maasai village. I'm going to be very interested in the culture and their connection to their cows and whatever else they do. So I'm excited about just the opportunity to get to know these cultures, to understand the life that happens around the wildlife that we're going to be privileged to see. But there's a whole world that revolves around it.
Correct.
Picture. I want to see the whole holistic picture. I don't want to just say, oh, look, there's a lion, click.
Yeah.
Lion is part of the whole ecosystem. And so I'm very
Pat, can you speak up a bit? We're struggling to hear you.
I'm excited about the whole ecosystem that we're going to see. How everything relates to everything else in that area. So I saw a 60-minute expose on Dame Daphne several years ago on 60 Minutes. And I remembered watching that and thinking to myself, I have got to find this lady. I've really got to figure out how this, and now you guys have thrown this in my lap. The place that she founded, and that she was, so it's almost like a deja vu kind of experience. But I just want to get as grounded as I can, not just in the animals, but in the people that are part of the whole system.
And you're right, because it's very much about the land, the people, and the animals, because that's what makes up the ecosystem. In whatever shape or form, it delivers itself. And so that combination and understanding how they work together and in synchronicity, especially the animal, land, and people conflict that happens. And the Maasai will talk quite a lot about that, which is very interesting, and how they've had to evolve because of the challenges that they've had. But remember, the Maasai people, even though they are the most celebrated because they are very unique in the way that they look and the way that they dress and their traditions, and they very much are still engaged in their old traditions. Whereas the other 40 tribes that exist in Kenya are quite modernized, if you like. But if you go to their specific areas, you'll find it to be very traditional. But unfortunately, we don't have enough time to do that in every place that we go to. But very fascinating to read about the different tribes in Kenya.
I've been listening to, I have audibles, or I listen to books when I drive to dog training and stuff, to Beryl Markham's book, West into the Night. And it's terrific. Well, how she wrote was so prosaic. I don't know how this woman came up with the way she describes things, but it really gives you an insight into Africa in the early 1920s, whatever. And the fact that this was a woman who was first a racehorse trainer and then a pilot in the bush,
Right.
when nobody was doing this. But it really it's giving me an appreciation of the country and what was going on back then that I know we'll, see. It's a huge difference now, but it really is a nice grounding. So if anybody's got time to look at her book, it's really fascinating to just hear her account of things.
Fantastic.
And I have the kitchen book that Bet's reading, and I read The Elephant Whisperer, and I've got, Dame Daphne's book. So yeah, I'm reading all kinds of stuff now to get. Really.
Good. And what another great movie that you can see is Out of Africa. That'll give you a very good sense of Kenya, and the reality of the dynamics of the colonial influence and all the stuff that was happening there, and that relationship with the local people.
Watched it, and just last week I put it on again with my box of Kleenex next to me because it's more at the end, It's interesting. Carol Markham's book, she really talks a lot about Karen Blixen's husband.
Yes.
And a lot of it is what he did in there. That
Correct.
I
Fantastic.
out of Africa last weekend. I just sat on the couch and watched it again, and
Yeah.
whatever.
And it's funny when you've been to Kenya, you'll see it in different eyes next time.
Yeah, I think so. There's Maureen.
Yes, Maureen. Hello.
How are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
Good. For me, the trip, I think, is just the opportunity to enjoy the majesty of the animals and the people and the countryside, and to integrate that and to be grateful for my life that allows me to have this opportunity.
Absolutely.
I know I've been blessed. So.
There will be many experiences throughout the day, throughout the trip, that will give you pause to be very grateful for our lives just generally. And the Kenyan people are very happy people. Even though they have so little, and we think it's a shame and there's poverty and there's so on and so on, we need to be careful about pushing our emotions and belief systems onto how they live. And so when you actually speak to them, and fundamentally you find out what really motivates them and what they really care about, it's fascinating. It gives us a lot of pause in the Western world to truly understand why they are so grateful and so caring and so generous as a nation of people. That'd be lovely.
Great experience.
All right, wonderful. All right, so if I could ask you guys to mute yourselves, that's great. All right. For me, Kenya holds a very special place. I've kind of been called back there, is probably the best way to put it. I went when I was 26. I went there on honeymoon when I was living in South Africa. So that was my first experience, and I went to the Diani coast in Mombasa, mainly because, of course, in South Africa we have a lot of awesome safaris. So I wasn't that interested in going on safari again, and so we did the Mombasa side of it. However, I always had this desire to see the mass migration and to experience Kenya from a different perspective. And so it came back into my life again, and the elephants came calling. And I found out about the Sheldrick Wildlife Trust, and it was, I was determined that we would put something together that would take us there so that we could experience it. And that Out of Africa film I've been brought up with it, let's put it that way. I think my mother watched it, 100 times, but she recorded the music of the opening scene over and over again on a 2-sided tape in the good old days when they were tapes. And she would play it for however long those tapes take to end, and then turn over and do it again. And after she saw the film, we all had to move to a game farm just outside Johannesburg, small one. We didn't have we had small antelope, but this beautiful, and there's a lot of history of a white witch doctor who owned the house, but it had these beautiful views of these mountains and reminds us of the scenery in the film. And she bought pith helmets, khaki outfits, and she even made our houseboy wear gloves, white gloves. Just a nightmare because he kept dropping everything. So eventually my mother thought it might not be a good idea. Anyway, so you can imagine I had that influence. So it's played a big part in my life, particularly that film, and I've always wanted to go and experience it. And so every time I go there, I get really excited because you guys get excited. I love it when I hear how excited each of you get when you see an animal that either you love or you haven't seen before, or there's something, something happens that has never happened to you before. And that's where I get my joy with regards to that. And then just seeing the transformation of people, because there's something about Africa that it never leaves you. It's an experience that really changes you from the inside out. It's just one of those places where, for me, Kenya gives you the most authentic experience of safaris in Africa, more so than probably any other country. And so you always leave a little bit of yourself in Kenya, and you take a little bit of Kenya with you when you leave. It just has that impression that it makes, and it does it to everybody that comes to visit. And so, yes, one of the reasons I'm going back for 3 months is that I want to see if I can potentially position myself to live there. Because I thought now I wanted to go back to South Africa. As much as I love Spain, and I've been in Europe for the last nearly 20 years, it's not my home. It's not my soul's home. But when I went to Kenya, it was definitely my soul's home. And I cried when I left. And so I knew that something had to be done about that. So for me, it has even more of a special meaning. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. And of course, it's my honor and pleasure to be of service to you while you're on this trip, and to look after you as best as I can and ensure that you have the best time of your life. Because it is truly a special opportunity, and we are blessed, very blessed, all of us, to be able to do this. So that's it from me. Happy National Pet Day today, which just seems very appropriate, even though it's not wildlife, it's Pet Day, but it's still Animal Day. It's great to celebrate these days, but of course it should be National Pet Day every day. As far as I'm concerned, I don't see why it shouldn't be. But just so that you know, this is usually the day that we celebrate our pets. So if you've got any pets, make sure you give them an extra hug, some lovely extra treats. I was going around putting bird food out today and cat bits and things, and giving all the doggies that I walk past little tidbits. Because with all the traveling and stuff I do, I'm not able to own my own pets yet. Oh, sweetie pie. Oh, what's your doggy's name, Pat? Maureen?
It's my dog, Maureen. This is P.S. Dooley.
P.S. Dooley. Hello, P.S. Dooley. So sweet. Look at that.
He's going to be 10 months old.
Oh, cutie pie. Who's the cute?
The people who do the Bichon.
Look at him. He's paying attention.
No. I always do that when doggies. Oh, look at Bet. Oh, hello, sweetie.
Who you got, Mozzie? Oh, do you have Mozzie?
He's sound asleep. Sound
Oh,
asleep.
sound asleep. Poor darling. Oh, look, his sweetie pies. Look at them. Oh. And
He had an active day, not rough. Active day.
Active day. and Joni, who have you got there?
This is Truffles.
Truffles?
Truffles.
That's so cute. Hello, Truffle. What's he eating?
What's she eating?
A cookie.
The eating. Oh, so cute. Oh my God, they're so cute. That's the only thing, is being away from them is like, oh. But always lovely to come home to. Hey. So, happy National Doggies Day or Pets Day.
I couldn't bring my Maureen because they are giant schnauzers.
Ah,
100
right.
pounds, 80 pounds. They were better left in the house.
Okay. All right. The first thing I want to cover. Oh, sweet. Oh, she's so cute. What's the cat's name?
His name is Aslan.
Aslan. Oh.
Aslan, like the lion in the,
oh, yeah.
lion in the wardrobe. This
Oh,
is
yeah.
Aslan.
Aslan. Oh, sweetie. Oh, Kate. Who's that? Why can't I unmute you?
Kate.
I'm trying to there you go.
That's Flora.
Flora. Oh, look at Flora. Who's a cutie, sweetie puss.
Cute.
They call me the crazy cat woman, even though I don't have any cats. All the cats come and find me usually. If it's not the cats, it's the birds. I have always all kinds of different birds.
The menagerie.
Oh, sweet. Look at the face.
Shoo.
Oh, sweet. Oh,
He is.
darlings. They're like, cats are like, what are you doing? Leave me alone.
No. Leave it alone.
All right. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the adoption of your elephants. Now, some of you have already been doing that. Patty, pat, pat, pat. Not naming any names. I'm trying to unmute you. Pat? Who have you adopted?
I have Maisha and Imoli.
Imoli?
I only started with one of them, but then it turned out that her best friend
Yes.
was Imoli, and so we had to do both because they're best friends. So we have Maisha and Imoli.
And Imoli. Fantastic. Imoli, they're absolutely lovely.
3-year-olds by the time we see them.
Yeah. So this is what I'd like to advise everybody is if you go to the Sheldrick Wildlife Trust website, and thankfully they have a fantastic new website, which is so much easier to actually find the animal you want because they're actually pictures of them and then all the information underneath. So really, really easy to access. And they have a list of all the orphans. So just so that you know, we're going to go to the Nairobi orphanage, and we'll do 2 sessions there, one in the morning, which is with a big group of a whole lot of other people. That's kind of the general public, and they do a presentation, and you get to see the Ellies, little baby Ellies that come down for their feed and their mud bath. It's very exciting. And then in the afternoon, we get to go, and it's only the people who've adopted the elephants get to go and spend time with the elephants just before they go to bed at 6 o'clock. So at 5 o'clock, they call them back out of the forests and the bush where they've been. And so they come trundling down in a cute little line very quickly because they know they're getting fed their bottles. And they come into the stockade, and we'll be standing around at the stockade and they get fed. And then it's really up to them if they want to interact with us, but they'll be in their stalls. And so you can go up to the stall. They've got those, what do you call them, barn doors. And if the elephant wants to come up and say hello, then that's what happens. Pat, it'll give you a great opportunity to speak to the keepers, because the keepers actually sleep with them inside their stockades. But certainly look after them, make sure that they're fed and so on, and then put them to sleep, which is just too cute for words. Not that they all go to sleep just like other children. Some play up. And so we'll get that interaction. Also, I know that most of you probably heard that darling Marifa, our little darling little rhino baby, passed away suddenly. It was devastating. Basically, they think he got colic. She got colic overnight, and the next morning she was gone. Literally, they kind of woke up at 6, and by 9 o'clock she was gone. It was that quick. And it was devastating because nobody knew that she was sick at all. She was perfectly fine when she went to bed. And so, you know, everybody's devastated because she really did steal everybody's heart. She was the cutest little darling thing. But there are other animals that you can sponsor. So I'm also sponsored Kiko, which is the little baby giraffe, who's also at Nairobi. And there are, what are they called? Water buffalo at the Voi. So they've got some new ones that we're going to go see, which are going to be really exciting. Cute ones too. So there are other animals other than the elephants, but there are quite a lot of the elephants. So what we would like to do is to encourage you to please adopt at least one of them. It's only $50 for the year. And it's an important part of our giving contribution to the Sheldrick Trust, but also then allows everybody in the group for the afternoon session when we spend time with them. Now, we get a special letter that allows us to go see them at the Voi, because we're not staying at their facilities and they don't normally allow that, but because we're sponsoring the orphans, they will allow us a visit there. And that is normally on our own, which is really lovely. We had so much fun last year. Now, the Voi Integration Center has slightly older elephants, so it's kind of where they matured out of the Nairobi nursery and they become teenagers-ish, and they come into the Voi Reintegration Center. Sometimes the little babies are sent directly there, only because it's a better location for them to go to. But yes, we get to have quite a lot of personal time with them, which is really fun. And again, they're not just the Ellies there. Last year we had a Inyala. Is it Inyala?
Eland.
Eland, thank you. I've been watching South African animals, that's why. So eland, we had an eland, a zebra, and a water buffalo. No? Yes?
Cape buffalo?
Cape buffalo, yeah, water buffalo, Cape water buffalo. So, but I think the eland has been reintegrated back into the wild. So the reintegration centers are really there to help the elephants be reintegrated back into the wild, because of course that's their final intention, is to ensure that they go back into the wild. And they get dehumanized a lot in the Voi facilities and the other reintegration centers. So there are only some of the elephants that they allow us to touch. And just on that point about the touching thing, that humans seem to have this real desire to have to touch everything, because it's one of our main 5 senses, and we want to feel connected. I want to encourage you to do that, but at the same time, touch with your heart. I want to really encourage you to touch more with your heart and with your energy than just your physical hands. Okay? Because that connection is just so much more powerful when you can do that. But of course, they are really fun to stroke and play around with, and they love to put air at you, and you can then throw air back at them. So put air back into their trunks if they offer them up. It is important to have that experience. But we want to encourage you to also have, touching them with your heart space too. Yes, Kate.
And we'll practice that. So, that sounds kind of vague, but don't worry. We'll do some practicing, because we will have a couple of our animal communication classes before we go. So you'll have an opportunity to see the difference, or feel the difference is a better word. Mm-hmm. Feel the difference in your being. So don't worry about figuring that out now.
Sure. In addition, we will be going to the Giraffe Center. Now, it's probably one of the most commercial activities that we're going to be doing. The Giraffe Center is pretty much where the giraffes that are in the Tsavo Park that have been either hand-reared, or are very used to humans, you get the opportunity to go up and actually meet them. You also get to feed them. And one of the fun things that they've now created is that you take the lucerne little pellets, put it in your mouth, and the giraffe can take it from your mouth. Now, which it's very healthy, because the mucus of the giraffe is full of antiseptic. There's no issues there. However, it really is, it is commercialism at its worst. It is for the benefit of us only. And we're never great in advocating that. So we want to show you the experience so that you understand what happens, and we're going to do it differently. And so there's no problem feeding the giraffes, but we're not going to encourage you to do it with your mouth. We're going to encourage you to do it with your hand, and allow the giraffe, if they want to come and eat from your hand. It's just one of the things that we're keen not to actually do again, because it wasn't a great experience last year. However, it's a good learning experience. And also for us to observe about what other humans are doing in this situation. Because there are a lot of tourists that are coming there and shouting and screaming and trying to get the best possible photograph. So it can be really intimidating, and it's an important way that you can keep your energy in the right place when connecting with the animals. Okay. Right. On to the more nitty-gritty stuff. So, visas. You can get your visa online. It doesn't take long. In the document I sent you yesterday, whenever I sent this one that has all the information, general travel information, has a link on there under the section of visas, and that is the website you need to use, because it doesn't charge you the processing fee. So it'll charge you the cost of the visa, which is about $60, if I'm not mistaken, Kate. I think that's what we paid last year, Kathy, about $60, or maybe a bit more. I don't know who paid what last year. So please use that link for doing your visas. They will ask you for information about, an address for where you're going. Please give them the amazing Memory Safari tour address as your address for while you're in Kenya, because you're going to be going to different hotels or different lodges, so you can't put in all those addresses. Yes, Pat?
So when I looked it up, it said that the visa is good for 3 months.
Yes.
So that means we probably shouldn't get the visa until maybe early August.
Correct. So yeah, I was about to say, you don't need to get them now, but when you do need to fill them in, if you need my help, let me know, but I will send out information about that. Okay. And yes, you need to get just the one trip one, and it is valid up to 3 months. Okay. Again, if you want to familiarize yourself with the information, just click on the link and it'll tell you all the information that you need. So read through the website first, and then get everything ready, and then do the application. Yeah? But we'll be sending you some guidelines on that as well. All right. If you are needing any room nights the night before, please make sure, before the trip starts, please make sure that you book those directly with Anne and you pay those directly to Anne. That includes any additional nights after the trip if you're not going on the add-on tour. If you are doing the add-on tour, then all of that booking and process you need to do directly again with Anne. Okay? Is everybody okay with that? All right. Bet, hold on. I need to unmute you. Yes, go ahead.
Who is Anne?
Anne is our tour operator from Amazing Memory Safaris. And I did send the information to you, but I can send it to you again if you need it.
Would you, please?
Sure.
Okay.
All right. So you can email her directly. She will respond. She is on holiday at the moment. She will be back on Monday.
Okay.
Okay. So that's for anything prior to the event starting and anything else that you need with regards to add-on tour. And I will be collecting all your flight details from everybody. So at some stage, I will ask you for those, and then I will supply those to Anne so that we get your transfers from the airports sorted out. But yeah.
Can you tell us what the add-on and where the hotel is in Mombasa?
Yes, it's all, if you go to the website,
yep,
and you go down to the end of the page of the elephant trip, there's an itinerary there that you can just click on and download, and I'll have all that information for you. I wish I could email it to you, but it doesn't always go through because it's quite a big file. But I'll see if I can email it to you so that you can read through that.
And let me ask this. Can you come back from Mombasa rather than flying back to Nairobi?
No. International flights all go through Nairobi. They don't go from Mombasa.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have, your flight is already included in the package to go from Mombasa back to Nairobi. Okay. If you're not doing the add-on and if you're doing the add-on. So it's included in both.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
So it should be really easy. Yes, Pat?
So that's information because I'm doing the add-on, but I found out that if I leave on Sunday, like $585 more to fly than if I leave on Monday. It's cheaper to spend one more night. And Anne said just let her know.
Yeah.
And just moves your Mombasa to Nairobi flight back to the next day.
Correct.
And for the night in Mombasa. So
Correct.
Extension, let me know and we'll do it together.
Okay.
Oh, okay, great. Perfect.
All right. So yes, it would be great if we can coordinate that for everybody who's traveling back, because yes, especially if your flights are leaving, because they normally do, all the US flights leave at pretty much the same time from Nairobi. The other thing that we need to also talk about, where we can do it at a later stage, is we get the flight midday, I think, from Mombasa back to Nairobi, and then you pretty much got the afternoon and the first part of the evening. And what we did last year, Kate, can you share what you guys did last year?
So last year, Kathy, those of us that had that evening flight, Amazing Memory Safaris has a little house in a Kenyan neighborhood, and we got to go hang out there with Joseph, our wonderful driver in Nairobi, who we adore. And there was a lovely lady there who made us tea, and we just kind of hung around. We watched nature programs on TV. We did watch a Kenyan cooking show. That was really fun, actually. We watched that a little bit. So we watched some nature, and then we chatted. And it was just, people could take a shower. There was a bathroom there, and, it was lovely if, whatever people needed to do before the trip. It was just very peaceful and relaxing, and just, kind of fun to see a neighborhood in Nairobi. It's a gated community, and the little houses, and it was very comfortable, very nice.
Okay.
And Kath,
And we did that because otherwise you're kind of stuck at the airport, which you really don't want to be. It's not a great airport from that perspective. And there's really nothing to do. So we don't want to, take you guys there and leave you for too long. So you can do that, or if you want to have a tour or whatever, Joseph and Anne can sort that out for you.
Oh, that's true.
So pretty much, if you want to do something else in the 6 hours that you have, they can organize that for you. Okay. So just so that you know, usually that's how the flights happen. They arrive in the evening, don't they, Kate?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Most of the flights arrive in the evening and they leave in the evening.
Right.
Okay.
And we'll go over some of the details of the airport, and different little security issues that, if you haven't traveled overseas in a while, may be a surprise like they were for me. So I'll share some of those surprises with you, like how many times you go through, in Nairobi, Kathy, how many times did we go through security? I don't know. How many times? 3. But that doesn't count the one where we had to did a Chinese fire drill outside the car. Remember?
I know, that was funny.
Go through security and then get back in the car and then go to the airport.
Yes, they have a very, very strange, as you go into the airport, you have to, everybody has to get out. The car goes through, you go through another place, and then you collect the car on the other side and you go further into the airport.
Yeah.
The other thing I do want to warn everybody about is there is heightened security throughout Kenya, and mainly because tourism is their second largest GDP. And so they are very keen to ensure that everybody's very safe. So what you'll find is that all the hotels, in Nairobi that we go to, or the places we go to, there are a lot of armed guards around and their security gates. So don't let that frighten you. That's been the way it has been for many, many, many years. There have been a couple of attacks recently, one 8 years ago and one at the beginning of this year. Which actually is in direct relation to what happened 8 years ago. It's an isolated incident, and it's to do with the Somalian faction. It's a Somalian faction that's just trying to cause unrest. So, of course, everybody is very, I'm going to put it on tap with regards to ensuring that the tourists are all safe, and I have checked and keep checking with the updates regarding that, and everything seems to be fine. Kept in communication with Anne. She's had loads and loads and loads of trips and tours and had no problems or incidents. Okay. All right. So, and on tour. So medications. Regarding your anti-malaria and everything else, and again, please read the notes that I sent you. It's really up to you if you want to take anti-malaria tablets. But just to share our experience last year, I personally don't take them. I don't like to take any of that stuff. But I'm from Africa, so I'm pretty used to that. Also, we had, I think, maybe 2 mosquitoes the whole trip that I actually saw or even heard. And of course, they got lots of nets, and I did wear some, insect repellent, natural insect repellent. But actually, I didn't hear or see any mosquitoes at all. That's not to say it won't happen this year. So you never know, because the weather changes and, seasons are a little bit topsy-turvy at the moment. Kate, what were you doing for it?
I did all of mine homeopathically. I worked with my homeopath and got remedies for, I pull up my thing here, malaria, dengue, I think I took that. And then I just had my constitutional remedy. So I just followed my homeopath's directions and took my remedies and didn't worry about anything. It was good. I did bring some herbal tinctures that Tamar ended up using to great result. And arnica, we used arnica on one of our gals who hurt her, got her finger jammed in the door. But I have my usual little arsenal of holistic remedies that I bring. So I would encourage you guys to just bring those, whatever you normally take, just to have on hand. That's what I bring.
Yeah. So, Bette, do you need to say something?
No.
Okay. So I'm just going to recommend to everybody, please, do what you feel comfortable with. That's the most important thing. There's obviously recommendations, and they do that to protect themselves, but it really is up to you as individuals what you choose to do with that. Please note that it is Africa. Okay. We have certain stops that we go to along the long drives between the different locations. And we choose those particular spots because usually they have sit-down toilets with toilet paper. And I know that sounds kind of basic, but it's really important because most of the other places don't. And they are kind of the hole in the ground, put your feet on either side type toilets for the local people. So that's why we have those stops planned. And of course, we're Ronnie and whoever that we're with are happy to stop whenever we need to, but just take into account that if it isn't at one of those stops, it's potentially not going to be very pleasant. Okay, it definitely is an experience. I'll put it that way. Even for me, it's an experience because, in South Africa, we don't have them. We have proper toilets. Also, in the bush, we may be going out for, say, a full day safari. And we will sometimes go off to a local lodge in the area that we're traveling in to go to the loo. But otherwise, if you really need to go, we'll have to stop in the bush. So you need to be okay with doing that too. Now, just warning you that those are the options. So there are slight restrictions. We all have those needs sometimes, and that's okay. But we are in Africa, and we kind of have to do, as they say, do what you do as you are in Rome, so as you are in Africa. So, and some of the roads can be quite bumpy for long periods of time. So what we like to do, and especially now that there are 9 of us on the trip, and actually Kate and I are going to do a last chance webinar for anybody who might still want to come on the trip. The reason we're doing this, because normally at this stage we would, close off the bookings. But the reason we're doing that is because we have 9 people and therefore need 2 4x4s. So myself and Kate will be switching around the 4x4s. And so will you guys be mixing it up. And changing drivers and changing seats and everything else. But it does mean now, because we've got 2 cars, we've got extra room. And so if you do know of anybody that has indicated that they may be interested in coming on the trip, that would be awesome. We've got another virtual tour like you guys have seen before happening on the 2nd of May. So we just wanted to let you know about that. So yes, we'll have Ronnie again, and I don't know who the new guy will be, but I'm sure that Anne will tell us. And it'll be great to have those different experiences between myself, Kate, and the new drivers. But very comfortable because there'll be lots of space. And the 4x4s, we have specifically chosen those that are much more comfortable, that have a lot more padding on them for all of us. All right. What else we got left? Just a reminder that your balance payments are due on the 22nd of May, or by the 22nd of May. So if you can get those to me by then, that would be awesome. As I need to start making payments, which I've done so already. So are there any questions that anybody else has at the moment? Yes, Pat. Unmute you.
I've lost myself.
There you go. We can hear you.
You can hear us, right?
Yeah.
Maureen has a question.
Could you talk to us about the yellow fever vaccine?
Not me personally, no. Know nothing about it. I would suggest you need to speak to your doctor about it. I'm not qualified enough to be able to share any information on that.
All right, because they're clearly not available through your local physician.
Sorry, say that again.
They're not available through your local physician.
Oh, okay.
They're available through certain travel centers.
Okay.
If anybody had any experience. In this country, Walgreens apparently has some ability to do that, but I don't know if it's at all of their drugstore locations, if you make an appointment or let them know. But travel, who's done a yellow fever vaccination before?
Has any, Kathy, have you done one, or Kate?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear anything Maureen said.
The yellow fever, have you done a yellow fever vaccination? Do you know anything about them, or no? No.
Do you have it?
No. When it comes to vaccinations, Maureen, I would really look into them. I'm really not a big fan of them. And generally, I'm not a big fan of any vaccinations, but that's my personal belief. I would really get some good advice, and I would get varied advice, not just from one source, to see whether or not you really need it.
But it almost appears from the Kenyan website that you have to have it.
It's quite funny the way that they say that. It's more appropriate if you're going into Tanzania, because Tanzania is a high risk area. And so they tend to try to cover themselves. But when I asked Anne, do you need a yellow fever certificate? She said no. No, and they didn't ask us for it. None of them asked us for it. Nobody asked us for it. But again, I would prefer you to speak to your own GP and get their advice from them about yourself. And maybe for your insurance, for health and travel insurance, you might need it. I don't know.
So do we also need to have a health certificate with us?
No. They didn't ask us. They didn't ask us for any kind of documentation when it comes to the health. No.
All right, that makes.
And just on that, just make sure that you do have travel insurance. For all your goods. We had one of our ladies' luggage got delayed. Thankfully, we did get it. It's one of the reasons we do recommend you come at least 2 days before. So if you fly in on the 17th or the 18th, just to acclimatize, first of all, if you've got a really long flight, but also just in case the luggage goes. But we are spending a day in Nairobi anyway, so you've got that extra day before we start to travel. But we are flying out from the airport on the 21st to the Masai Mara. So you want to try and get your luggage before then.
We're planning on leaving the 17th, getting it on the 18th.
Great.
You had mentioned 19th. We could do a tour or something with you.
Yes. So what's going to happen on the 19th, there'll be an opportunity for you to exchange your money. So let's talk about the money bit. So and again, the information's in the document I sent you, and this is from our own experience last year, and what we found worked and didn't work. So there are our recommendations. So I would bring at least $500 in dollars and bring them in small donations. Are they called donations? Yeah. Denominations. Thank you. Or something like that. Small denominations. So your $1. Do you have a $2? I can't remember. $5?
Yes.
So bring lots of $1, because $1 you're going to be using to tip the guy who takes your bag to the room. You may want to give some tips to the guys that make up your room. So lots of ones are very good, or fives. Again, and we'll go through this closer to the time. And again, it's in the information that I've sent, just a guideline of what money and so on to bring with you. So gifts and so on, I promise you, you spend more than you think you're going to spend because there's so much choice and so many wonderful things to buy. So, and especially, you know, for Christmas and so on, it's a great opportunity to share that with your family. And we'll have quite a few opportunities to buy gifts. Pretty much at all the lodges that we're staying at have courier shops, but also at the Maasai village, and I'd like us all to support them. They have their own little market, and it's a great way for us to give back and contribute to them, because between tourism and the tour that we do with them and their little goods that we buy, that's how they make their money. That's how they earn their money to send their kids to school and buy the things that they need to do. So, yes, I've given advice on, just a guideline of how much money. We also take tips for the drivers. And again, I put those in, but we can talk about that closer to the time. But what I was going to say is that on the morning of that day, of the 19th, if you do need to exchange any money, it's best to do it with Joseph at one of the exchange guys he takes us to. And that in itself is a real experience. It's a real African experience. But we have him and trust him to take us to the right place, and you'll get the best exchange rate that you can get. So if you want some Kenyan shillings, which I think you should have as well, you can change some of your dollars for Kenyan shillings there. Because there are not many other places that we're going to be exchanging at along the way.
Well, we can exchange at a lot of the lodges, right, Tamar? I mean, some of them do.
Yeah, but don't do that, because the exchange rate is so bad. They give you it's far worse. So
yeah,
literally they do $1 for 100 shillings. In the hotels, they'll do $1 for 80 shillings. Literally. So it's better if you exchange it right at the beginning of the trip, and then you just keep that money with you. And yes, Pat?
In one of my emails I asked you, and you had said that, I forget which group it was, that would rather be given shillings, and another group that wanted the dollars. So was it the keepers that wanted the dollars and the Maasai that wanted the shillings?
Correct. So it's a combination of it. Some of them prefer to have shillings and others prefer to have dollars. So the keepers, when I say that, it's, so like the Maasai village, it's probably better to pay them in shillings, because I don't know what exchange rate they're going to get with their mates. So it's probably better to pay them shillings. Whereas our tour guide, for instance, we would pay him in dollars. Maybe the guys at the tables who serve us, we can pay them in shillings, but the waiting staff, the cleaning staff, maybe in dollars, because you want to leave it on the table before you go. But either way, a combination of the two is best. Okay? All right. So that's what we're going to do in the morning of the 19th. And then what I suggested us to do, because I've seen so many good reports about it, and we kind of brushed it off last year because we went to the Maasai market, which we won't be doing this time in Nairobi. It was traumatic is probably the best way to describe it. Kathy?
Yes, I totally agree. I'm thrilled we're not going.
No. They have a very different way of negotiating, and we'll talk more about that as we get closer to the trip. But yes, when you're buying their couriers and stuff, they have a slightly different way of doing the transaction. And we went to this enormous market we thought would be really fun, and we couldn't wait to get out of there. So we won't be doing that.
Kathy, would you email Sophie and tell her not to come?
Oh,
Text.
Bet? Is that you, darling? Oh.
I was just doing something.
That's okay. I'm going to mute you. I thought somebody else was joining the call. That was funny. So we're going to instead go to the local game reserve, which is right next to Nairobi City Centre. Literally, you can see Nairobi City Centre from the game reserve. But I've been reading such great things about it that we thought this year we would definitely try it out. So it'll be our first taste of it, of the game drives, before we fly off to the Masai Mara. And we are going to a new facility that Kate and Kathy and myself have not been to, but it's supposed to be a much better facility than the one we had last year. The one we had last year was nice, it was okay, but it had all kinds of electrical issues, and yes, it was a problem, let's put it that way, especially when we needed to check in online and get all the things sorted, because it was the last place that we finished at last year. Whereas this time we started in the Masai Mara and we're ending up in Mombasa. So it's different from that perspective. So that's what we'll be doing on the 19th. None of it is you have to do. It's completely up to you. If you want to sleep or do something else, that's no problem at all. But there will be an extra cost. It's not a lot of money. We'll let you know what that is. And yeah, we'll get a transport guide to take us through, which won't, by the way, be Joseph, because Joseph doesn't do game drives. He only does city tours. So you'll meet these guys later. So yes, that's what we're doing on the 19th. Okay. All right. Was there anything else? I can't think of anything else on my list. I covered everything. So international flights, you're flying into Mombasa, Nairobi, and out of Nairobi. Currency, airport departure tax, 20-hour security, clothing. Oh, yes, very important. Only 25 kilos of luggage. Only 25 kilos of luggage. If you take more luggage, you pay more. And it's for the flight, the internal flight, that we have a problem. So it's the internal flight from Nairobi to the Masai Mara and from Mombasa to Nairobi. So if you are over, you can be over, but then you're going to have to pay extra. And Anne will be able to tell you how much that is.
What about clothing?
Right, so toned down colors, basically, to wear when we go out on the game drives, but pretty much any colors you like, just not very bright ones. Some of them I will wear a bit bright, but yeah. Layers, really important, but it's very hot. So you really want to, keep cool clothing on as much as possible.
I would like to say, well, it's very hot during the day.
Yeah.
But then when the sun goes down, the temperature really drops. So if you know New Mexico, Pat, it's kind of like that. And yeah, so I mean, we were pretty chilly coming back from the game drive. There's some very funny pictures of me with everybody's clothes on me because I was in the back of the truck freezing.
So that's because the bloody roof was up.
I know.
Shouldn't have been up.
So anyway, I piled everybody's stuff on me. So it's chilly at night. It's chilly in the evening. So I think Kathy had a fleece. I think I'm actually going to bring a fleece this time for nighttime.
Okay.
And then I'll have cotton, cotton stuff and breathable stuff during the day. And yeah, because it gets hot.
And please make sure you bring your sunblock and your sunglasses and your. We probably will get hats. We got hats last time. I've still got my hat. I'll bring that along in case somebody needs it, because Amazing Memory Safaris gave us hats. But I need one that breathes. That doesn't work for me. And comfortable shoes that you don't mind if they get like dirty from red sand, pretty much. Not that we're doing a lot of walking around, but when you're getting in and out of the cars and whatever, your shoes will be there. So you don't need proper walking shoes or anything like that. Just comfortable shoes. I wear flip-flops most of the time. Just too hot for me. What else? Sunglasses. Kate, that sunblock you got me?
You said it wasn't waterproof. It didn't.
No, it wasn't just waterproof. It just wasn't. It didn't protect me very well. And I put it on the other day. Look at my face.
I don't feel sorry for you. You wanted me to bring you the natural stuff. So, oh well.
I think you have to lather it on. So I'm just saying, if anybody's going to use natural remedies for sunblock, you're going to have to use a lot of it. Yeah, the sun is very strong in Kenya.
But mostly in Mombasa, right? Because we were wearing hats, because yes, it was true. When we were at the Sheldrick Trust, we were out in the sun.
Very hot.
So, not a great idea to have your shoulders bared, stuff like that. But with a hat and a longer sleeve, shirt or a sunblock shirt, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
I think Nancy had a great one last year. I'm going to see if I can find it. I think it was a Royal Robbins white, but it was an interesting fabric, so it breathed really well, and it was sunblock. It was awesome. So you can wear that over like a camisole or a t-shirt. It's really good to have stuff like that for the sun if you don't want to deal with sunblock.
No. What else? I'm sure there'll be many more other bits and things that we remember as we go along, but I think that's the majority of it. Wow. I've already had you guys on for an hour and 20 minutes. Sorry. I apologize. It's 3:21 in the morning here. Yeah, get to bed at 4.
Tamar, I was going to suggest that because you guys will all have more questions, so just start writing stuff down. Look at the Avatar Adventure website, because Tamar has a very thorough, at the end of the whole description of the trip. So most of the information's there, but if it isn't, just write it all down. And as I say, as we get closer, we will go into some of the little picky nitty-gritty stuff. To help with the whole travel experience and airports and stuff. So we'll do that, but just keep a list, and that way, you don't have to keep emailing Tamar. We can go over it next time we talk, because obviously Beth wasn't on and Judith wasn't on tonight, so we'll be talking a couple more times, right?
Yeah. So we're going to have another one of these hookup sessions. Actually, that's the wrong word. Oh dear, I don't know where my brain's at. Meetup session. Must be appropriate. Meetup sessions, and then we've got our 2 sessions with Kate, and then one with myself on the conscious living, and with Kate on the animal communication. So we're going to put out some dates for those in the coming months, so that we can all plan and make sure that we are available for those. So yes, please just email me if you have any questions that I can help you with. But anything to do with the bookings on the dates before and the add-on trip is to send it to Anna. Now, I pretty much Kathy and Joni and Pat and Maureen, you guys are all doing the add-on tour, aren't you? Yes. Pat? Maureen? Maureen's still thinking about it, okay. And then Bet, you need to decide whether or not you want to do the add-on tour. Sorry, honey, hold on, I need to unmute you. Yep.
How much is it?
I think it was 1,000. I don't want to miss a quote. I think a single.
I don't want to be a single. Do I have to be?
No, unless there's nobody else to share with. Sorry, getting it out.
I'll put up with
Make a plan. Let me get the right one. Right. It's 1,850 per person single, and I think it's one. I can't remember.
And that's for how long?
1,650 sharing, I think. It is 6 days.
Okay, I have to see if the Mustang sells.
Okay, Mustang Sally. That's exciting. You want to sell a Mustang?
Mustang car. A car.
Kate, were you saying something?
Tatip's here.
I'm here. I'm sorry, I forgot.
Oh, there you are. Hello, honey. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Lovely to see you finally.
Hope I'm not too late.
Well, yeah, you are.
Yes, we're about to finish, I'm afraid.
Oh my gosh.
We've
Would I
actually
be able to listen to the replay?
Yes, that's why I
Okay.
did the recording, because yourself and Beth couldn't be here either. Beth will be on the add-on to it too. So it'll be Pat, Kathy, Joni, Beth, and myself. I will be there too. So yeah, just let me know one way or the other.
Okay.
So Beth, you can see all the details on the website and download the itinerary. It'll give you all the information.
Okay.
All right. Due to tip, I will send you the recording. If you have any questions, just let me know and I can answer those directly for you. We are going to have a couple of other additional meetup sessions, so we'll let you know about those dates, and then the training dates for the animal communication and the conscious living, which I will do with you guys. Do you have any questions just off the top of your head right now?
No, not
No.
right now.
Okay. Just a couple of main things is obviously booking your flights, getting your visa. I have sent a document which should help you, which I sent with the confirmation today, so it should be in your email box, which will give you any information on visas and all the bits and pieces that you need. So if you've got any questions with that, just let me know.
Okay.
All right. All right, my lovely ladies. Thank you so much for your time. I'm sorry that I've taken extra time from you. And yes, please just let me know if there's anything else I can help with. All right.
Thank you.
Pleasure, pleasure, pleasure. Everybody have a great day. Due to tip, if you want to just stay on, I will go through a couple of things with you quickly.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye, ladies. Bye. Thanks, Kate.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
Bye.
Adios.
Adios, muchachas. Okay. Hi there. Sorry,
Hi
Dave.
there. I'm sorry.
We were worried about you.
Completely forgot. Goodness, I couldn't believe. But it had been a very hard day for me too at school.
Oh dear.
So physically, emotionally tired. And so when I came home, all I could think of was just taking a nap or something to refresh myself.
That's all right. Okay, so the main things that we discussed. Hold on, let me just end this recording. Recording.